She sat in the salon chair with her hands folded tightly in her lap, fingers interlocked as if holding onto something familiar for the last time. The mirror in front of her reflected a woman she knew well, perhaps too well. Her hair fell past her shoulders, heavy and uneven, carrying years of emotional weight, routine, and quiet compromise. It wasn't ugly, but it no longer felt like her. The ends were tired, the shape undefined, and the style belonged to a version of herself she had outgrown but never had the courage to leave behind. For years, her hair had been her safety net. Whenever life felt uncertain, she hid behind it, letting it fall forward like a curtain. It was the one thing she rarely changed, even as everything else around her shifted. Jobs came and went, relationships evolved or ended, responsibilities multiplied, but her hair stayed the same. It was familiar, predictable, and comforting. Yet lately, every time she caught her reflection in a window or a phone screen, something felt off. The woman looking back seemed muted, as if her outer appearance no longer matched the person she was becoming inside. The salon was calm and softly lit, designed to soothe nervous energy. Gentle music played in the background, blending with the low hum of hairdryers and quiet conversations. The scent of clean products and fresh coffee filled the air. She chose this place carefully, scrolling through endless reviews and transformation photos late at night, imagining herself in those after pictures while wondering if she could ever be that brave. Today, she finally was. As the stylist approached, warm and confident, she felt a wave of reassurance mixed with fear. There was something comforting about the way the stylist spoke, not rushed or judgmental, but attentive. They talked about lifestyle, face shape, and how she wanted to feel rather than just how she wanted to look. That question lingered with her. How did she want to feel? The answer surprised her. She wanted to feel light. She wanted to feel visible. She wanted to recognize herself again. While they talked, she studied her reflection more closely. Her skin glowed softly under the salon lights, smooth and radiant with professional makeup that enhanced rather than hid her features. The foundation blended seamlessly, giving her complexion a natural, luminous finish. A gentle highlighter caught the light on her cheekbones, adding dimension and warmth. Her eyebrows were perfectly defined, framing her eyes without overpowering them. Long, voluminous lashes opened her gaze, making her look more awake, more present. Nude glossy lips completed the look, subtle yet elegant. Even before the haircut, she looked beautiful, but beauty alone wasn't what she was chasing. She shifted in her seat as the stylist lifted sections of her hair, examining texture and movement. Each touch made the reality of the moment sink in. This wasn't just a trim. This was change. Real change. Her heart raced at the thought of hair falling to the floor, of seeing a version of herself she had never met before. What if she hated it? What if she didn't recognize herself at all? The fear tightened her chest, but beneath it was a quiet excitement she couldn't ignore. Memories surfaced unexpectedly. The first time she ever cut her hair as a teenager and cried in the car afterward. The years she let it grow long again because people said it suited her, because compliments felt safer than risk. The times she postponed change, telling herself, maybe next time. All those moments led her here, sitting in this chair, finally choosing herself over comfort. The stylist asked one last time if she was ready. She nodded, though her voice trembled when she said yes. In that simple word was 1,000 unspoken emotions: courage, doubt, hope, release. She took a deep breath and let it out slowly, grounding herself in the present. The mirror reflected determination now, not just nerves. She realized this wasn't about hair anymore. It was about permission. Permission to evolve, to let go, to step into a new chapter without apologizing for it. Around her, the salon faded into the background as her thoughts grew louder. She imagined walking out of this place feeling different, standing taller, smiling more freely. She imagined catching her reflection later and feeling proud instead of indifferent. The idea scared her, but it also felt right. Sometimes the most frightening changes are the ones we need the most. The stylist positioned herself behind the chair, scissors in hand. The metallic sound echoed softly, sharp and final. For a brief moment, time seemed to pause. She closed her eyes, trusting the process, trusting herself. This was the beginning of something new, even if she didn't yet know what it would look like. As the scissors lifted toward her hair, she felt a strange sense of calm wash over her. Whatever happened next, she had already won. She had chosen change. She had chosen courage. And in that choice, she was already becoming someone stronger, someone freer, someone she might not recognize at first, but would soon learn to love. The first cut came with a sharp, unmistakable sound, and a heavy section of hair slid down her shoulder and landed silently on the floor. Her breath caught in her throat. There was no turning back now. She kept her eyes fixed on a point in the mirror, not daring to look directly at what was disappearing behind her. Each snip of the scissors felt symbolic, as if something more than hair was being released. Old habits, old fears, old versions of herself were falling away strand by strand. As the stylist continued, the rhythm of cutting became steady and confident. Hands moved with precision, lifting, measuring, and shaping. Hair that once felt like a shield was now being transformed into something intentional and expressive. She could feel the difference immediately, the lightness at her neck, the air brushing her skin in places it hadn't touched in years. The sensation was unfamiliar but strangely liberating. She watched as locks of hair collected on the salon floor, forming a quiet reminder of how much she was changing. A flicker of panic passed through her chest, but the stylist's calm presence grounded her. Soft reassurances filled the space between cuts, explaining each step, each angle, each decision. This wasn't random or reckless. This was art, guided by experience and vision. While the haircut progressed, the stylist refined the shape, carving clean lines that began to frame her face. Layers were introduced carefully, creating movement and balance. The transformation was gradual yet dramatic, each adjustment revealing a hint of the final result. She still avoided looking too closely, choosing instead to trust the process. There was vulnerability in that trust, a surrender she rarely allowed herself. As the cutting paused, attention shifted back to her makeup, enhancing what was already there. The soft glam look complemented the boldness of the change happening above her shoulders. The smooth foundation blended flawlessly into her skin, creating a radiant, even canvas. Light reflected gently off her cheekbones, where the highlighter added a natural glow that looked effortless and refined. Her eyebrows, perfectly shaped, gave structure to her face, while her long, voluminous lashes added depth and drama to her eyes without overpowering them. The stylist subtly adjusted the makeup to match the evolving haircut, ensuring harmony between face and hair. Nude glossy lips caught the light when she spoke, adding a touch of elegance that felt modern and fresh. She barely recognized the woman in the mirror now, even without seeing the full haircut. Something about her expression had changed. Her eyes looked brighter, more alive, as if the transformation was already affecting her from the inside out. Soft cinematic lighting illuminated her features, casting gentle shadows that emphasized her bone structure. The minimalist pastel background kept the focus on her, uncluttered and intentional. It felt like she was stepping into a high-end beauty editorial, where every detail mattered. The environment amplified the moment, making the transformation feel significant, almost ceremonial. Halfway through the process, the stylist offered her a glance in the mirror. She hesitated, heart pounding, then nodded. What she saw startled her. The length was gone, replaced by a shape that hugged her face in a way she had never experienced. It was unfinished, raw, and still being refined, but even now, it felt powerful. She swallowed hard, emotions rising unexpectedly. There was fear, yes, but also excitement, and something close to pride. She quickly looked away, laughing nervously. "Not yet," she said, needing more time. The stylist smiled knowingly and turned the chair back around. That brief glimpse was enough to reassure her. She wasn't losing herself, she was discovering her. As the final cutting phase began, the stylist focused on details, texturizing, softening edges, creating balance. Every movement was deliberate, enhancing her natural features rather than masking them. With each pass of the scissors, the haircut became more defined, more intentional. The transformation felt less like destruction and more like creation. When the cutting was complete, the blow-dryer came out, its warm air shaping and setting the new style. Her hair moved differently now, responding to touch and motion with ease. It no longer weighed her down. It lifted her, both physically and emotionally. Styling products were applied sparingly, just enough to add texture and shine without stiffness. As the stylist worked, she reflected quietly on how much she had underestimated herself. She had always thought change would break her, but here she was, still whole, still breathing, stronger than before. Letting go hadn't hurt as much as she feared. In fact, it felt like relief. The stylist stepped back, adjusting a final detail near her face, then paused. The room grew quiet again, charged with anticipation. She sat still, hands relaxed now instead of clenched, shoulders lighter. The transformation was nearly complete, but the most powerful moment was yet to come. She took a deep breath, preparing herself for what she would soon see. Whatever waited in the mirror, she knew one thing for certain: this process had already changed her. The haircut was only the visible part. The real transformation was happening within, reshaping how she saw herself, how she valued her courage, and how ready she was to embrace the woman she was becoming. The chair turned slowly, and for a heartbeat, she couldn't breathe. The mirror revealed a woman she didn't immediately recognize, and the silence in the room felt heavy, almost sacred. Her eyes widened, lips parted slightly, and time seemed to stand still. The reflection staring back at her was familiar and unfamiliar all at once, like meeting an old friend who had grown into someone extraordinary. Her hair framed her face with confidence and intention, falling effortlessly into a shape that highlighted her features instead of hiding them. The cut was modern, bold, and perfectly balanced, revealing her neck and cheekbones in a way she had never seen before. It moved with lightness, catching the glow of the soft cinematic lighting, each strand placed with purpose. Gone was the heaviness she had carried for years. In its place was freedom. Her flawless, glowing skin looked even more radiant now, the smooth foundation blending seamlessly into her natural tone. The highlighter on her cheekbones reflected the light softly, creating a luminous effect that felt elegant rather than overpowering. Perfectly defined eyebrows framed her eyes, which appeared brighter, more expressive. Long, voluminous lashes added depth to her gaze, while nude glossy lips completed the look with subtle sophistication. Everything worked together in harmony, hair and makeup enhancing each other in a way that felt intentional and powerful. For a moment, she simply stared. Then her hand rose to her mouth, fingers trembling. "Oh my God," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Tears welled up in her eyes, not from sadness, but from shock and relief. She laughed and cried at the same time, overwhelmed by the realization that this woman in the mirror was her. Stronger. Brighter. More alive. She turned her head slowly from side to side, watching how her hair moved, how naturally it fell back into place. Each movement revealed a new angle, a new detail, and with each one, her confidence grew. Her posture changed without her noticing. Shoulders rolled back. Chin lifted. A smile spread across her face, wide and unguarded. It was the kind of smile that comes from deep recognition, from finally seeing yourself clearly. The stylist watched quietly, a knowing smile on her face. This moment was why she did what she did. This was more than a haircut, it was transformation. When she spoke, her voice was gentle. "This is you," she said simply. And for the first time in a long while, she believed it. Applause broke out softly from around the salon. Other clients and stylists paused to admire the result, offering compliments that felt genuine and warm. She felt seen, not judged or compared, but appreciated. The attention didn't make her uncomfortable the way it once would have. Instead, it felt affirming. She had stepped into herself, and people could sense it. As she stood up from the chair, the difference was undeniable. She felt lighter, not just physically but emotionally. The weight she had carried for so long was gone, replaced by a sense of possibility. She caught her reflection again in a different mirror across the room and smiled instinctively. There was no hesitation this time, no critical inner voice. Just acceptance. She thought about how often women are taught to play it safe, to avoid risk, to hold on to what's familiar even when it no longer serves them. She had done that for years, believing change was something to fear. But standing there now, she understood that change could be an act of self-respect. Letting go wasn't a loss, it was a gift she gave herself. As the stylist gave her final tips on styling and maintenance, she listened with a new sense of ownership. This look wasn't something she had to live up to, it was something that fit her life, her energy, her future. She ran her fingers through her hair again, amazed at how natural it felt, as if it had always been this way. When she finally prepared to leave, she took one last look in the mirror. The minimalist, soft pastel background and gentle lighting framed her like a portrait, capturing a moment she would never forget. This wasn't just about beauty or trends. It was about reclaiming her identity. She walked out of the salon differently than she walked in. Her steps were confident, her head held high. The world outside hadn't changed, but she had. And that made all the difference. Later, when she would look back at photos of this day, she would remember the fear she felt before the first cut and how small it seemed now. She would remember the courage it took to say yes to herself. Most of all, she would remember the moment she didn't recognize herself in the mirror, not because she was lost, but because she had finally become who she was meant to be.